Okay, Year 7, so what we're going to do is we are going to have a go at using negative shapes in order to draw the two peppers that I've given you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the meeting peppers. Okay, so therefore developing, you're going to have to use the negative shapes and meeting, you're going to have to use the negative shapes as well as trying to find the negative shapes within the reflections too. Okay, now you've got an A3 sheet of paper. You need to use the entire sheet of paper, all right, in order to draw these peppers. All right, and we're going to do that using the negative shapes. All right, so press on nice and lightly with your pencil and look at, if needs be, okay, draw a grid. Okay, just divide it in half. Okay, and look at where the pepper comes, each pepper comes on the page. All right, so can we see that the top of this pepper here, okay, is really close to the top of the page. Okay, so I can put a little line there. All right, that helps me out quite a bit. And I can also see that the pepper comes very close to the edge here. Okay, you can see how far up the page we think it's going to go, so we can measure it, so we can start putting in our grids. Okay, to make that a little bit easier. Okay, so let's see what we can come up with. All right, but we are trying to use these negative shapes, which are the gaps in between the shapes, okay, in order to try and get proportion. So very, very quickly, I'm just going to draw the basic shape of the pepper, and then I'll show you what to do with the negative shapes. Remember, you're working nice and big, no shading. Right. I'm not going to carry on here because I need to know where this stalk is coming. Okay, so I'm going to try and fit this stalk in. I'm pressing on so lightly with my pencil at this point because I know I'm going to have to make quite a few corrections here. So look at where it comes at the top. Okay, and that is about halfway along the page. So I've got to use my judgment to see if I get that right. So you can see I've not rubbed out that line. So I'm using these lines to help me match the rest. Okay, and look at where that comes on the stalk. And try and match it with that as well. So I think that's obviously this line here is a lot higher up than that one there. Now this shape that I'm drawing here is actually quite a bit further underneath the pepper, so I've obviously not drawn it enough. Drawn it far enough along. Okay, so that's my first pepper. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to look at the negative shape, which is the space around the pepper. Okay, and I'm going to try and start correcting, not rubbing out lines, you see. So I can see here, look, that I've actually drawn this bit of the pepper a bit too low. So I'm going to not rub out that line. Look at where it comes. That's better. Okay, so now I'm happy with that negative shape there, and I've now got to make a judgment on this negative shape, so it comes in a little bit more than I've drawn it, comes out. And now for this negative shape, I'm going to draw in my mind a triangle, and I can see that the curve of that triangle is actually a bit steeper, so I'm going to draw that in. That matches all the way around. Okay, yep, this doesn't come in quite as much. I'll draw that. Remember, even though my lines are starting to get a bit darker, you can still see that they're easy to rub out. Okay, and now from here, it's very hard now because you've got all this black space on the pepper, so I'm just going to draw that in. I'll bring that down a bit more. Look at how I'm holding my pencil. Okay, and then I'm going to draw in the reflection again very, very quickly. And then there's a negative shape here. So I'll just make sure that that negative shape is correct. Okay, so up at the top where the stalk is, we can see here that actually the stalk is a bit more at an angle. So I'll draw that in, but it's not quite as fat as I've made it. And I can tell that because of this shape here. So this is a bit more softer curve. And it doesn't quite go in as much as I've made it go in. Yep, that's it. And that goes up a bit more at a steeper angle. And again, it's this shape here that I'm trying to get in. It's a lot easier to draw. Okay, when I'm happy with that one, okay, I can start then adding in these reflective shapes of light. Even the more subtle shapes here, because they will help me as I paint my pepper later on. Okay, and I just need to correct this bit here, because my pepper, the curve comes in a bit tighter. There we go. Okay, and the top of my pepper is a bit more curved like that. So none of this is guesswork, and that's what we've got to try and get you away from. Okay. And here I can see quite a dark shape, so I'm just loosely going to put in these lines where I can see the dark shapes. So I'm not shading, I'm just loosely putting them in. Okay. And I'm just double checking here so I can see there's a shape there. You see, I've not used a rubber yet. Okay. Move it across. And now I'm going to start with the next one. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at where that comes. I'm going to draw a line up. Okay, like that. So I can see okay, that the middle, so I'm using my hand, my memory, my muscle memory to try and draw in this next one. You see how big I'm making it, but what I'm now going to do is looking at that line there, I'm now going to draw in this negative shape. Okay, there's no point in me starting to draw this yet, I don't know where it's going to go. Okay, and then I can have a go at drawing this next bit. Okay. But what I am going to do is go back to this bit thinking, well, my yellow pepper, how far does it come in on the page? It's a bit further in than the other one. Yep. Okay, let's see what that does. Try and get my curve right. Comes in, goes out. Okay, now where the bottom of the pepper comes, I'm going to look. Okay, is it going to match the bottom of that pepper? Yep. I'm happy with that. Okay, so this line here, where does it come in comparison to that one? So I'll draw a little line in. So I've drawn that too far over. Now I can add that shape in. Okay, and I can bring it around. Okay, so once I've got that basic outline in, I'm now going to match it. Looking at that negative shape there. Okay, make sure I've got that triangle right. That curves in a little bit more. Okay, and now I'm going to put in these very quick shades of dark because I think they are probably going to help me quite a bit when it comes to getting in. Yes, so when it comes to getting in this stalk here, so you see this line that I've just drawn in there, I'll just make sure that that is right. It's a bit too far in, but it will help, okay, because now I can think how far up it goes, and I can match that with this here. So it's about there. Okay. Now I'll try and put in very, very quickly, okay, this stalk, again, really lightly, because I don't know where it's going yet, okay. It's too hard for me to try and get in, okay. So I know from there, stalk kind of comes along. Right, now I'm going to use this shape here to try and get the stalk right. Okay, so I'm happy with that shape there. And now I'm going to look at this shape here. So it's not, oh, a negative shape doesn't always have to come from the original shape that you draw in. It just has to come from, all right, I'm trying to draw the stalk, so all the negative space around the stalk is negative space. It doesn't matter that it's inside of the original positive shape, which was the pepper. Okay, so I think that needs to just be a touch wider. I'll double check it in a second. Okay, it does come in, yeah, it does come in at an angle. Okay, and then that doesn't go in quite that far, so I've now got to match that with this, so this comes down a little bit more. Okay, now here I can draw that in at an angle. Now I can decide, oh yeah, that does go up a little bit more, so I have got that slightly right. Okay, and now I'll draw another shape in. You remember those shapes of dark that I put in? I'm not shading. Get that angle right. So if I carried that angle up, okay, it would come up to there. Yep, that's about accurate. And now I can check this point. Okay, it comes in line with that. So actually that point, if I draw a line down, it's actually beyond that other line. So I'm just going to change that slightly. Okay, and now I need to make sure that I've got all of these shadows in properly. Okay. And then correct this stalk. So looking at the negative shape again between here and here, so that stalk actually comes down a bit further. Okay, it's a bit wider. I can keep correcting myself. Okay, and what I can do now is look between that line here and this bit and just check, is that about right? Now if I draw in these squares of light there, then I can actually see, yes, that does fit. I can put some more patterns in very, very quickly just to judge where I'm at. Okay, and now I can start adding in here, finishing off a few more shadows from the stalk. Okay, now I've got to deal with the reflection. Okay. So we've got a mirror image here. So again, we can use the shapes to help us out. Okay, so I'm looking at where that comes in comparison, so I can see that that actually comes down a bit more of an angle. Okay, look at where this comes. So instead of drawing the negative shape in here, I'm going to draw that shadow. It's like a big block of black. And then look at where that ends. So that ends about here, so you can see that comes in. So all of this then would be black in my painting, like a grey black. And now I've got this stalk here. Put that in. Measure where that comes a bit further on. You've got the edge of the paper, which helps you here. And then we've got to look at that triangle now. Okay, so I can see straight away now I've corrected that actually bulges out a little bit more than what I've drawn. Okay, look at how far along it comes from the stalk. Okay, there we go. So we've got two peppers with our reflections. Okay, now what we're going to do is use rubber to start perfecting what it is that we have drawn. If I can find one. So what we're doing now is where I've still checking this piece of paper. Okay, got to now make sure that I'm rubbing out the right lines. Okay, so we're still kind of drawing, but this time we're drawing with the rubber. So you see there, because I wasn't concentrating, I've actually rubbed out the wrong line. Okay, so I just add that back in. So we just use our rubber to now kind of draw the object again, but taking away the important lines. Taking away the not important lines. I'm really thinking about what it is that we're doing. Now, if you're too confused, you can do the rubbing out of the lines as you're going along. Okay, sometimes you end up with too many lines, so it actually helps you to rub them out as you're going along. Okay, once you've rubbed out all of the lines that have gone wrong, what you're then going to do, okay, if you get round to it, is you're then just going to take away, all right, the top layer of pencil. And this bit's really, really important. Okay, because you don't want any graphite going into your watercolour. Okay, so you're not rubbing out all of your lines, you're just taking away the top layer, especially where your lines are maybe a bit thicker than normal, than they should be. See, the graphite is really soft, and so in which case what happens is, unfortunately, when you add water to your paintbrush and paint to your paintbrush, okay, the graphite, if you don't take that top layer off, okay, it goes into your watercolours. You'll also see it underneath, all right, some of your bright, lighter colours. Okay, so I'll just give you a couple of minutes to correct your drawing. Okay, rub out your construction lines so that it looks a bit more like mine. Okay, if you're ready at this point, okay, we can actually start painting. All right, so what I'll do is I'll do a very quick demonstration on this one to start off with. You always paint the lightest colours first, okay, which in this pepper would be yellow. And you're looking for the medium colour, all right? So we don't want the yellow to be too dark and we don't want it to be too light. It's got to be medium, okay? So what we do is we mix our colours, remember? You can add a bit of white to the yellow if needs be. However, we are looking for, all right, more of a yellowy orange. Okay, quite, you know, using your tertiary coloured knowledge at this point. All right. And what we're going to start doing, so just move that across, and start with the yellow pepper. Okay, is I'm going to start painting in, okay, the darker bits. Okay, you can see there, is that dark enough? I don't think so. I think maybe that needs to just be a touch darker. Okay, so I'll mix it here. Okay, the key is at this point you don't want to be leaving your pepper, okay, to get this paint to get too dark, too dry. Okay, and just start to add in. Where you can see it's darker, just start to add in, okay, that darker shade. Okay. And what we do, okay, is we then get some of our lighter yellow. We start to paint that lighter yellow in, move as we get closer and further up to the bright. To the lighter shades. And as you can see here, I'm getting a bit further down towards the darker shades, so I'll mix a darker shade in. Okay, and if I want to blend it in a little bit more, I can just add a little bit of water to my paintbrush, okay, to blend that in. So here, look, it's getting quite a lot darker. So I'm going to add in, okay, red, yellow and blue, make the perfect poo. I'm going to cheat here for speed. Please don't cheat. Well, you can't, you haven't got brown. Okay, so right, so all I'll do now is just blend in that poo brown here. Right, and then again go back to the yellow and blend that in a little bit more. Okay, if your paintbrush, it looks like it's blending in too much, don't worry. Just get a bit of water on your paintbrush, feed it into the other colours. Okay. So just rinse my paintbrush and using the water on the paintbrush. Now here where it's bright white, really bright yellow, I'm going to leave that. I can leave that because the page is going to shine through. But what I am going to do is just use a touch of water just on the edge, just to get rid of that sharp edge. Okay, and then we'll start working down, looking where the dark shades are. Adding a touch of brown if I feel it needs to just go a bit darker. Going back to the yellow. And hopefully you can start to see how this is building up. But I do need you to blend these colours. Okay. If at this point you feel that you need to add a little bit of white, okay, just to kind of like bulk out, or just to try and lighten up some of your area, okay, then you can do this. Just add it over the top. Now it might be better that you add it over the top when it's completely dry. Okay, so that might be something that you do next week. Okay, so have a go at painting if you get round to it. Remember to leave the white shining through the page, and we'll carry on with this next week. Well done.